and welcome to Galaxy Primetime News. My name is Nenwarangi Mazaka. I will begin with the headlines. President Tinubu departs Brazil for Abuja after attending the 19th G20 Leaders Summit in Brazil. The House Committee on Healthcare Services decries the significant challenges facing the Nigerian healthcare sector. On foreign scene, over 32 people have been killed and dozens wounded in a renewed fight between Sunni and Shia Muslim groups in Pakistan. Details of these and more will come to you shortly. Do stay with us. And now the news in full. President Bola Tinubu has departed Brazil on Saturday for Abuja after attending the 19th G20 Leaders Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The president is due to arrive at the presidential wing of Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, at 10 p.m. Nigerian time. President Tinubu had attended the G20 Leaders Summit, where he endorsed the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty, which he said was pivotal. The president also held bilateral talks with Kristalina Georgieva, the managing director of the International Monetary Fund (IMF), who commended his administration's economic reforms and their positive indicators. He also presided over the signing of a $2.5 billion letter of intent between the Nigerian government and the GBSSA, a Brazilian company and one of the top 3 largest meat processing companies in the world. The president was accompanied on a trip by senior government officials, including the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugar, the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, and many others. The Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badaru, has said the federal government is committed to ending insecurity in the southeast. According to a statement issued on Saturday by the Defense Ministry spokesperson, Henshaw Ugubike, Badaru stated this while addressing military officers during an operational visit to Enugu State. He said that there is a renewed determination to intensify effort against all forms of insecurity under the President Tinubu's leadership. The minister noted that a secure environment is crucial for business growth and peace. He also urged the military personnel to intensify effort to combat the region's insecurity. Badaru added that Tinubu's commitment to eradicating all forms of insecurity is restricted not only to a region but also nationwide. The minister said that in the last year, significant progress have been made to that effect. The minister, who visited Imo in continuation of his operational tour of the region, visited Governor Hope Uzodinma and extended his gratitude for his support to the military operations. Badaru said the Defense Ministry remained committed to fostering a secure and peaceful environment conducive to businesses and community development in the southeast. The House of Representatives Committee on Polytechnics and Other Higher Technical Education has at an oversight session criticized Federal Polytechnic Damaturu for citing insecurity as an excuse for poor management of internally generated revenue (IGR) and non-compliance with federal character in employment. The committee, chaired by Honorable Fuad Laguda, who was represented by Honorable Emile Nyang, noted that while the institution claimed reduced student intake due to insurgency, its spending profile remained disproportionately high. Acting Rector Dr. Ibrahim Babale Gashwa explained that insecurity had impacted operations, but the committee dismissed this as insufficient justification for the discrepancies. Federal Polytechnic Mubi was also faulted for failing to complete staff quarters and administrative block projects despite repeated budget allocations. Honorable Emile Nyang, representing the chairman, expressed frustration over the abandoned project and directed the rector to submit a detailed report on all uncompleted projects within a week. Similarly, Federal Polytechnic Munguno faced accusations of skewed employment practices favoring specific regions, violating federal character principles.
Necessarily to find and victimize faults and victimize you based on your faults. Is to collaborate and make you know where you are going wrong. When federal character calls you, then you will know the implication of what you have been doing. When public accounts calls you, I'm sure then you will be going with all sorts of begging.
Sorry, sir. Let's speak to this document because you can't be taking this remoters. You are saying people flee. When your personnel, they flee. You have almost 1.7 billion.
The committee is bothered about is the fact that you've not been able to convince us. We spent close to 2 billion on payment of salaries and overhead annually, and all you can generate is that meager amount of money. You need to convince us the justification of further disbursement.
The number of population, the population of the staff is at the moment is over 2,000. Is it 2,320? Oh, 2,000 over 2,000 staff. Though we just finished the last section of our semester, so most of our students have graduated.
Meanwhile, the acting chairman of the House Committee on Healthcare Services, Honorable Basi Alina, says the Nigerian healthcare sector continues to face significant challenges, including poor funding, rising cost, and high mortality rate. Speaking at a public hearing organized by the committee at the National Assembly Complex, Akiba emphasized the urgent need for reforms to address the issues and improve healthcare delivery in Nigeria. The hearing focused on 4 key bills: amendments to the National Residency Training Act 2018, the National Insurance Authority Act 2021, and the National Tobacco Control Act, as well as the establishment of the Institute of Healthcare Service Administrators of Nigeria. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, represented by Honorable Obodo Mitima, said despite annual appropriations, healthcare funding in Nigeria remains grossly inadequate compared to other countries. He noted that President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda prioritizes healthcare reforms and partnerships with the private sector to revitalize the system.
I wish to assure you all that as legislators and members of the Committee on Healthcare Services, we are conscious of our constitutional and legislative responsibility towards the people. We are at all times ready to partner with relevant stakeholders and support any genuine effort required to improve the healthcare system in Nigeria. On a final note, as we prepare to meticulously study and deal with this bill, I wish all of us successful and fruitful deliberations.
It is no longer news that despite the committed efforts, the health sector has sadly over the years faced several challenges associated with outbound medical tourism, emigration of skilled healthcare workers, poor salaries, and insufficient budgetary allocation.
I think the only thing that will help us to have our demographic stratification of the citizens of Nigeria is to have a strong, all-inclusive, comprehensive national social security register.
State governors elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party have called on President Bola Tinubu to review his administration's economic policies to address current hardship in the land. The governors made the call in a communique issued in Jos Plateau State after their 2-day meeting, which ended on Saturday. The communique, signed by Senator Bala Mohammed, Bauchi State Governor, who is the chairman of the Governors Forum, read: the forum empathizes with Nigerians who are groaning under the oppressive economic hardship fostered on the nation by the policies and decisions of the APC-led federal government. The meeting, held at the Plateau State Government House, titled a Little Refuge Jos, was attended by the principal organs of the party, NWC, PDP, GF, BOT, NATS Forum, former Governors Forum, former Ministers Forum and other leaders of the party. The communique added that the forum notes that the concerns of Nigerians, PDP founding fathers, elders and members of our great party of semen division within the ranks and files. The forum wishes to state categorically that it remains resolute in its determination to ensure unity and cohesion of this great party that Nigerians have come to trust as the best platform, it says. You're still on to Galaxy Primetime News, and coming up next. The Northern Lead Elders Forum strongly opposes the proposed tax reform bill, describing it as a threat to national cohesion and regional development. Details of these and more will come to you shortly. Do stay with us. We're glad to have you back. Now, for more updates and latest news, please visit our website www.galaxytvonline.com. Connect to us on our X handle at Galaxy TV. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GalaxyTV News. You can follow and interact with us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GalaxyTV. Remember to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at Galaxy TV. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your live update and comment, as you can easily scan our IG QR code. There have been several calls for the review of the Nigerian Constitution from stakeholders across all walks of life. This is as a result of what many describe as the challenges faced by the three arms of government in the discharge of the constitutional duties. In this report, our correspondent Dele Fason takes a look at the clamor for constitutional review and its effect on the economy. The report.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, had on February 26, 2024, set up a committee to review the 1999 Constitution with a promise to ensure it does not suffer the fate of previous exercises. Some economists and political scientists who supported the move said the 1999 Constitution is inimical to our growth as a nation.
A constitution is a set of laws, rules, through which a nation is governed. So if the rules, laws that are documented to guide the nation are not appropriate, if they are inimical to our collective growth, then there's a problem. And that is why there has been the 1999 Constitution as
economy is one aspect of the issues that affect society, but economics is so fundamental because it's the substructure, the foundation upon which every other sector is built upon. And so if, as it truly is, there are some defects in the way our economic system, or what the rules and regulations, especially with respect to appropriation of resources and the management of the resources, is not favoring development of all sectors of the economy, especially regions that are known to have resources.
On the nature of the laws in the 1999 Constitution, the economics said since the laws are not people-friendly, a constitutional review will benefit the citizens.
There are so many laws as contained in our Constitution that are inhibiting and limiting and reducing our potentials for growth. Like for instance, I've just cited that aspect of resource centralization, the aspect of the Constitution that says all revenue collected at state level, at every of our states, should be centralized in Abuja.
But there are some laws that have not been very fair to all sections of the country. For instance, we've been talking about resource management. We've been talking about fiscal federalism. We've been talking about resource control. from the military era down to the present, we have a situation where the government and the center is taking all the resources to himself and simply giving crumbs to the regions, determining who gets what and how.
Meanwhile, Nigerians will be watching with keen interest and hoping that the constitutional review process meet the yearnings and aspirations of the citizens. From Delta State, Telefason reporting for Galaxy TV News.
The Northern Elders Forum has strongly opposed the proposed tax reform bill, describing it as a threat to national cohesion and regional development. At its second biannual meeting held in Abuja, the forum's Board of Trustees, chaired by convener Professor Emeritus Ango Abdullahi, condemned the bill's perceived discriminatory and anti-northern provisions. In a statement released by Professor Ango Abdullahi Khan, convener Northern Elders Forum criticized the manner in which the bill was introduced, citing a lack of consultation with critical stakeholders and exclusion of members of the National Economic Council from the decision-making process. According to the statement, the tax reform bill in its current form is poorly packaged and conceived in bad faith, adding that its implementation would undermine unity and economic stability in the region. The forum also expressed disappointment with northern representatives in the National Assembly for their silence on the issue, calling it a conspiratorial connivance against the region's strategic interest. Beyond the tax debate, the NEF addressed the worsening education crisis in the north, highlighting the alarming statistic that about 60% of students in the region have been unable to return to their higher institutions due to rising tuition fees and transportation costs. Oyo State government has said about 15,000 candidates will sit for its forthcoming computer-based test for recruitment into different cadres in the civil service. The chairman, Oyo State Civil Service Commission, Alhaji Kamoru Abiodun, disclosed this while addressing journalists in Ibadan. He said approval was given by Governor Seyi Makinde for about 900 officers to be recruited into over 60 cadres across MDAs in the mainstream of the civil service. Speaking further, the chairman said out of 22,235 applications received by the Commission, 15,000 were qualified to sit for the CBT. He said the recruitment is unprecedented in the history of Oyo State, as there has never been a time in the last 2 decades when such recruitment was done, as it has always been on cadre basis. Consequently, he said similar cadres have been grouped to sit at the same centers, stressing that applicants have been divided into 2 groups of examination for competence.
22,000 applications were successfully submitted into the state government job portal, out of which roughly 15,000, which is about 67%, were qualified for recruitment to the cadres for which they have applied, to lift many youth out of poverty to prosperity with employment of thousands. I wish to appeal to all the applicants attending the CBT to please be good as ambassadors of their different families.
The Minister of Works, David Umahi, has officially introduced and handed over to the Minister of State, Mohammed Bello Goronyo, the supervisory authority of 2 agencies under the ministry. The agencies include the Federal Road Management Agency, FEMA, and the Office of the Surveyor General of the Federation. Correspondent Kulojo reports that this took place during a meeting for the management of the 2 agencies, and the ministers in Abuja also in attendance were the members of the board of FEMA. Umahi appreciated the president for sending Goronyo to help him in handling the affairs of the agencies under the ministry, especially that of FEMA, that had a lot of direct impact on relieving the suffering of the masses. He urged the management and board to be patriotic in carrying out their national assignments, saying they should put the nation and fear of God first in all they do.
It was difficult to get, know day-to-day of what FEMA was doing, which is how it's supposed to be. And so the president has sent a directive that all the honorable ministers of state should oversight the agencies under the ministry, and of course brief the minister from time to time.
Speaking at the event, the Minister of State reiterated his appreciation to the President for reassigning him to a capable hand like Umahi, whom he described as a man with vast wealth of experience, intelligence, patriotism and passion for the job. The Director General of FEMA, Engineer Chukwuemeka Agbasi, and the Surveyor General of the Federation, as well as the Southeast representative on the board of FEMA, Dr. Kenneth Ubala, separately promised on behalf of the agencies to work in collaboration with the ministers in order to serve the entire nation efficiently and completely, as well as strive to achieve the priorities of the renewed hope agenda of the President.
As people who are closely coming with you, we must keep closer ties with you. So I will continue to learn more from your wealth of experience and knowledge which you are putting to bear in the discharge of your duty and for the service of our motherland. I, for one, I came with a commitment to work.
We are with you, and I pray that you said you change the narrative, sir. We'll all work together to see how to change the narrative. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, survey has not taken its rightful position. We have maps given to us by the colonial masters between 1966 and 1970. And those maps were converted.
We know that we have limited resources. We are constantly being required to do more with less. We appreciate that. So we've stepped outside the box to look at other ways of generating revenues for the agency. I've not had the opportunities to sufficiently brief you on those programs, but we have programs in place.
After the formal introduction and handing over ceremony, the Minister of State held a maiden management meeting with the agencies where he drummed up the idea of creating innovative financing models to free up the dependence on budgetary resources from the federal government. The Office of the Accountant General of the Federation says it will adhere to court orders regarding the disbursement of federal allocation to Rivers State following recent legal controversies surrounding the state financial entitlement. The assurance comes amid the Federal High Court ruling on October 30th, 2024, which directed the Central Bank of Nigeria to withhold further monthly allocations to Rivers State. The court ruled that Governor Siminalayi Fubara's presentation of the 2024 budget to a full-member House of Assembly was unconstitutional. Justice Joyce Abdul-Malik, who delivered the judgment, stated that since January 2024, allocations received and spent by the state were based on an illegitimate budget, describing it as a constitutional aberration. The ruling raised questions over the legitimacy of the State House of Assembly's composition and its authority to approve budget. The judge contended that the governor's actions ignored constitutional requirement for budget approval by a fully constituted House of Assembly. Delivering judgment, Justice Abdul-Malik declared the decisions made by the full-member Fubara-backed Assembly were void, referencing prior rulings by the and the Court of Appeal that had annulled its authority. A female suspect, Halima Yakubu Ngude, has been arrested for suspected involvement in employment fraud in Kaduna State. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC Kaduna Zonal Directorate, in a statement says it has arrested the suspect in Angwan Kanawa, Kaduna State. The EFCC said her arrest followed credible intelligence linking her to obtaining money from job seekers on fraudulent promise of getting job placement for them in the Nigeria Police Force, Nigerian Army and the EFCC. Items recovered from her upon her arrest included a fake EFCC letter-headed paper and multiple curriculum vitae for job seekers. The statement says she will soon be charged to court as investigation into the matter is concluded. You're still on to Galaxy Primetime News. We'll quickly take a break, and when we return, the news continues. Just stay with us. Well, glad to have you back. The police in Anambra State says it has arrested a native doctor and one other suspect for alleged armed robbery and kidnapping. The suspect, according to a statement by the State Police Command spokesperson Tochukwu Ikenga, was made possible following the testimony of a rescue victim who led the police to their hideout. The victim was said to have been lured to the location initiated by another suspect who is at large before he was abducted on gunpoint before being moved to a shrine. The arrested suspect is said to have confessed to the crime and are currently assisting the police with information for possible arrest of other gang members. One pump-action gun was said to have been recovered from the suspect, as well as the victim's vehicle and other incriminating items. Also, the police in Anambra State says it has arrested a native doctor and two other suspects for alleged robbery and kidnapping. According to a statement by the police command spokesperson Tochukwu Ikenga, said the arrest was made possible following the testimony.
Effort that were put in place started yielding results. The command has taken the bull by his horn as part of our effort in combating call activities, gun running, armed robbery, kidnapping. The command's renewed commitment to mop up crime in the state has arrested about 34 suspects across the state for various offenses.
Benue State Police Commissioner Steve Yap Benue citizens. The police commissioner stated this at the command headquarters in Makurdi after operative of the command in collaboration with security agencies arrested notorious cultists in part of Makurdi, occult-related activities which led to deaths of some persons and the recovery of arms, ammunition, laptops and other fetish items. Parading the suspect, the police commissioner Yabanet, who also paraded all the crime suspects involved in, says no stone will be left unturned in ensuring they are prosecuted. According to law, calling on law-abiding citizens to always furnish police and other security agencies useful information to nip crime in the bud. More than 30 suspects were paraded, with 18 of them cultists. Host communities of OML 25 have called on Shell to fulfill long-standing development promises before resuming operations in the area. Speaking after a crucial meeting held with Shell regulatory authorities and local government representatives, spokesperson of OML 25 communities, Chief Anabs Sarah Igbe, emphasized that the delay in reopening Shell's OML 25 facility is not the fault of the communities, but rather a result of Shell's failure to meet agreements made over the years. The meeting, which included representatives from Kula, Ofiom Ama, Belema and other surrounding communities, focused on the 8-point agreement made with Belema Oil, a local partner, which outlines key development goals including employment, infrastructure and healthcare.
We are ready for Shell to move into operation immediately, provided they carry out all the agreed terms. We have discussed about the welfare of the people. A lot of our children, graduates, skilled people are unemployed. And we are saying this has nothing to do with PIA. Our people are there.
The kingdom also called for a firm commitment to an operation and maintenance contract between the multinational and indigenous company with provisions for local participation in security and community development. Meanwhile, President of the National Youth Council of Nigeria urged the multinational to tour the path of peace rather than the divide and rule tactics.
As they signed that PO and architectural security architecture, they are free to go and operate. We are not happy that 45,000 barrels of crude oil is being tied down for 7 years per day. 45,000 per day for 7 years is a huge resources that the federal government is losing, the state is losing, the local government is losing, and even the Shell.
Surprisingly, we have come to notice one thing, that Shell has this myopic and divide and rule tactics that they have used to destroy Ogoni land. They are still bringing it to Kola community, of which we will not tolerate that one. We are not going to accept that one.
The communities concluded by expressing hope that the ongoing dialogue would lead to the long-awaited development of the region. The Kaduna State Governor, Senator Obasani, has launched a Women's Economic Empowerment Policy and 2 others as part of efforts to catalyze the development of women in the state. The Women's Economic Policy is supported by the Development Research and Project Center and the Ford Foundation under the Build project. Governor Obasani described Kaduna State as a beacon of hope for women's empowerment, youth inclusion and security advancement in Nigeria, insisting that the vision has consistently placed women and youth at the forefront of the development agenda. They said they understood that women, youth and development thrive in peace, families flourish, communities grow stronger, while their state progresses as a whole. Speaking during the Kaduna State Economic Empowerment Summit 2024 and policy launch, the governor told the gathering that the official launch of the innovative and inclusive policies in their state was part of their ongoing commitment to empowering women and fostering gender equality in Kaduna State.
Your expertise in policy development has helped shape a robust framework for women empowerment in our state. You and women, your commitment to gender equality has inspired us and provided the guidance we needed to ensure our initiatives are impactful. Deaf Africa, your dedication to community development and women's rights has been a driving force in our collaborative efforts.
This administration is founded on the fundamental belief that closing gender gaps and eliminating discrimination is not just a moral imperative, it is an economic necessity. We firmly believe that when we remove the impediments that hold women back, our entire society moves forward. This isn't merely rhetoric. its proven economic principle that Senator Obasanjo has placed at the heart of our governance approach. The state's commitment to women's economic empowerment is comprehensively aligned.
It's like going into a darkness and you are trying to find access to something. You will be going left, right, and center without having a direction. That is why the policy we are domesticating and launching today is necessary if we have to provide the required support for Nigerian women. We know in Kaduna State, for instance, 48.9% of the population are women. But you will be surprised to know that only 13% have access to banks, only 1.6% have access to land ownership. What this policy is going to do is to provide a direct.
Benue State Emergency Management Agency has commenced distribution of palliative to affected victims of flood disaster in part of Makurdi Metropolis. The affected communities are Logo, Tu, Achusa, Wadata, Idie, Urukom, among others affected by flood waters early this year, leaving their food items, foodstuffs, crops and homes destroyed. Distributing the palliatives in separate locations in Makurdi, the Executive Secretary of the agency, James Upolu, disclosed that the beneficiaries in the affected communities have been identified early February 2024 when officials of the agency carried out assessment of affected households, emphasizing that this was the state government way of cushioning their plight. Chairman of one of the benefiting communities, as well as a beneficiary, thanked the governor for the palliatives and for remembering them at this auspicious time. Items distributed are 50 kilograms of maize and 25 kilograms of rice to the flood victims.
Item is not for the general public, it's for those affected by flood. SEMA, within the year, carried out assessment of those people who are affected. The report of assessment has been forwarded to the federal government, to NEMA particularly. While we are waiting for the intervention of the federal government, we decided to do this our people to caution the effect of hunger in homes that were affected.
Lugutu community, I want to sincerely appreciate His Excellency, the Governor of Benue State, Dr. Haisset Yomen Adia, for this wonderful gesture of coming to the aid of the flood disasters and the victims. We appreciate the government so much for this gesture.
I thank God who made this to be possible. That have been fighting day and night to consider the poor men who are within Benue State. We thank him so much. God will bless him more and more again.
National Board for Technical Education has said Nigeria can transform its polytechnic system into a dynamic engine of innovation when entrepreneurship courses, incubator and acceleration programs amongst other initiatives are infused into learning in schools. NBTE's Executive Secretary, Professor Idris Bugaje, made this known at the Ogun State Institute of Technology, IBESA. Ogun State correspondent John Felix report.
It's the first annual academic lecture of the institution, with the theme Fostering Nigeria's Technological Advancement Through a Vibrant. The rector of the institution sets the tone for the lecture. He says technological education remains the surest way for the country to attain technological advancement.
There is no gainsaying the fact that technological education remains the surest way for the country to attain technological advancement and industrial growth. Instead of looking down on the polytechnic system, the sector should be wired to be the hub of Nigeria's much desired development. Seminal to China's meteoric rise was its conversion of over 500 universities to polytechnics. The theme of this lecture, therefore, should command sincere attention from the government, the industry, the polytechnic administrators, and of course other stakeholders. We will be failing in our responsibilities if our product does not meet up with the contemporary realities and help solve current societal challenges.
Delivering his lecture, MBT's Executive Secretary, represented by Professor Bashar Hassan, says many Nigerian polytechnics face inadequate infrastructure, outdated equipment which hinders their ability to provide quality education and training. He however notes that a strong polytechnic system can foster a culture of innovation and research.
There is need for us to integrate the industry needs into our emerging technologies into our curriculum. In simple terms, what it means is that the curriculum we are using to teach you needs to be reviewed from time to time, and while we are reviewing it, we need to understand what exactly the industry needs. There is need for strong synergy, there is need for strong collaboration between the industry and the academia, otherwise we are going to have skills gap. All these skills gap that you've been hearing being mentioned is a result of the disconnect between what is happening in the industry and what is happening in the classroom and the academia. So entrepreneurial courses are very key because it integrates entrepreneurship courses into the curriculum to teach students about business planning, marketing, finance, and other essential entrepreneurship skills. We also have the issue of incubator and accelerator programs. We also have the issue of innovation competitions. You see, if you are innovative and you know there is a place where you can go and compete, you will always want to struggle to invent something so that you participate in these competitions. This is very important, and it allows competitiveness among students and also staff that are overseeing and monitoring and supervising the students. A thriving polytechnic system will empower graduates to become leading innovators, entrepreneurs, and skilled professionals, ensuring a sustainable and prospective future for Nigeria.
No doubt, a revitalized polytechnic system holds the key to driving Nigeria's economy. From Igbesa in Ogun State, John Felix reporting for Galaxy Television News.
The National Examinations Council, NECO, in its drive to expand its global footprint, has accredited more foreign schools to conduct the Senior School Certificate Examination and the Basic Education Certificate Examination. According to a statement by Aziz Sani, Acting Director of Information and Public Relations, the newly accredited schools located in Niger Republic and Equatorial Guinea join the list of institutions outside Nigeria authorized to administer NECO examinations. An accreditation team from NECO conducted a detailed evaluation of the schools, assessing classrooms, laboratories, libraries, computer labs, workshops, examination halls and sports facilities for their readiness to host the SSCE and BECE. Following accreditation for both examinations. According to the statement from the examination body, the development underscores NECO's commitment to delivering quality education and assessment beyond Nigeria's borders. To his expertise and contributing to the advancement of education across the continent and beyond. And now we'll move over to the foreign desk for more news. Hello and welcome to the foreign news. At least 32 people have been killed and dozens wounded in renewed fighting between Sunni and Shia Muslim groups in northwestern Pakistan. The violence overnight on Saturday was the latest to Raghuram, a district in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, just days after a deadly attack on a convoy in the same area killed dozens of people. Speaking to journalists on condition of anonymity, a senior administrative official said the death toll in the latest incident included 14 Sunni and 18 Shia Muslims. Another 47 were wounded, the official added. A senior Pakistani police officer also confirmed Saturday's fighting, putting the death toll at 33 and the injuries at 25. The officer, who also spoke anonymously because he was not authorized to speak to the media, said armed men in Bagan and Bacha caught torch shops houses and government property. Intense gunfire was continuing between the Alizai and Bagan tribes in the Lower Kuram area. Educational institutions in Kuram are closed due to the severe tension. Both sides are targeting each other with heavy and automatic weapons. A massive Israeli strike has flattened a residential building in center of the Lebanese capital Beirut. At least 11 people have been killed and more than 60 injured. The 8-story building was completely destroyed without warning by 5 missiles in the capital densely populated Basta district. Explosions shocked the city following the Israeli attack, which happened at about 4:00 local time on Saturday. The Israeli military made no immediate comment about the Basta strike. The scale of Saturday's airstrike and the fact it happened without warning indicates that a senior Hezbollah figure could have been the target, although there has been no confirmation from either the armed group or the Israeli military. Emergency teams searched the site in Basta, where plumes of smoke rose from a huge crater. The death toll is likely to rise as work to remove rubble at the site continues. 2 men have died and 3 other people have been injured in a 2-car crash in County Donegal, close to the border with Northern Ireland. It happened on the N15 road at Liscolle near Castlefin at about 2:00 local time on Friday. The men who died were both in their 30s and traveling in the same car. A man and woman in their 70s who were traveling in the other vehicle were taken to the hospital with serious injuries. A woman in her 30s sustained non-life-threatening injuries, according to Garda and Irish police. The road remains closed for forensic examination and diversions are in place. Garda have appealed to all witnesses or road users who may have camera footage recorded in the area at the time of the collision to contact them. And still on foreign news, Russia has a stock of powerful new missiles ready to be used. President Vladimir Putin has said a day after his country fired a new ballistic missile at the Ukrainian city of Dnipro. In an unscheduled TV address, the Russian leader said the Oreshnik missile could not be intercepted and promised to carry out more tests, including in combat conditions. Russia's use of Oreshnik capped a week of escalation in the war that also saw Ukraine fire US and British missiles into Russia for the first time. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called for world leaders to give a serious response so that Putin feels the real consequences of his actions. His country was asking Western partners for updated air defense systems, he added. According to newsmen, Kyiv is seeking to obtain the U.S. Terminal High-Altitude Area Defense or to upgrade its Patriot anti-ballistic missile defense system. In Friday's address, Putin said the Oreshnik hypersonic missile flew at 10 times the speed of sound and ordered them to be put into production. He had earlier said that use of the missile was a response to Ukraine's use of Storm Shadow and ATACMS missiles. Donald Trump has nominated Scott Bessent to lead the U.S. Treasury Department, one of the most influential roles in government, with wide oversight of tax policy, public debt, international finance and sanctions. The selection ends what has proven to be one of the more protracted decisions for the president-elect as he assembles his team for a second term. Bessent, a Wall Street financier who once worked for George Soros, was an early backer of Trump's 2024 bid and brings a relatively conventional resume to the role. The 62-year-old nomination on Friday evening kicked off a series of cabinet announcements and White House appointments that leaves Trump's top team almost complete ahead of his return to the presidency in January. Scott is widely respected as one of the world's foremost international investors and geopolitical and economic strategists, Trump said. Bessent has made it well known that he wants to extend tax cuts made in Trump's first term in office. He has also defended the use of import tariffs, one of the more controversial parts of the president-elect campaign agenda, calling them a useful negotiating tool. On the campaign trail, Besant told voters that Trump would usher in a new golden age with deregulation, low-cost energy and low taxes. And finally, on foreign news, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Bharatiya Janata Party BJP, is on a course to win a landslide majority in India's richest state of Maharashtra, trends show. The BJP and its allies are leading on close to 220 out of 288 seats, comfortably placed above the halfway mark needed to form a government. Maharashtra, which has India's financial hub of Mumbai as its capital, is one of the most politically crucial states in the country. The BJP, however, is staring at a defeat in the eastern Indian state of Jharkhand, where main opposition Congress and its allies are on course to win. This was the first regional election in Maharashtra since the crucial parliamentary polls earlier this year, in which Modi returned for a historic third term but lost his majority, having to depend on regional allies to form a government. Maharashtra was one of the states where the BJP suffered a setback and opposition parties won 2/3 of the parliamentary seat. Modi's party currently runs the incumbent government in Maharashtra along with breakaway factions of two regional parties, the Shiv Sena and the National Congress Party. Political analysts say the BJP retention of the state will give a much-needed boost to the party, which also won regional elections in the northern state of Haryana last month. And that's all we have on the foreign news.